I always thought I knew what I would choose if I had to decide between time or money. But then when I was actually put in that position, I made a decision. And then 6 weeks later, I changed my mind. All right, so let me break it down for the situation. I had 2 jobs. One was high paying. One was more demanding. It was going to be more money, more career growth. That comes with more stress and less capacity to work on the other things I wanted to work on. However, I would not be stressed about money because I really wouldn't have to worry about expenses. It was a solid option. Number 2, other job path. Not a ton of growth, but a little bit. Not as stressful, way more time, and a little more uncertainty with travel. And so those were the 2 kind of job decisions I was paying for. One, to summarize it, high paying, demanding, less time. Another one, less paying, more time, and already kind of in my comfort zone. Those were the 2 I was comparing against. And for years, I always had said the same thing. I'm choosing time over money every single chance I get. But when I actually had to make the decision, when reality was real and I was faced with choosing option 1 or option 2, it wasn't as clear as I thought it would be. Because that money is real, the time is real, the stress, the consequences of making the wrong choice. It was way more unclear than I ever thought it would be. And I realized pretty quickly that it wasn't just about time versus money. The real question after kind of doing some reflection was, do I trust myself with the time? Can I bet on myself? What if I chose the option 2 with more time, but then I didn't grow my business, or I didn't get in better shape, or I didn't really maximize that time effectively? And that fear of not maximizing that time and then losing out on the money, that's what made that decision feel so heavy. And when I say I went back and forth, like I was struggling to decide. Eventually, I was like, I'm going to bet on myself and I know I can make this happen. I'm going to use this extra time. And though this career may be a little more stagnant, I know I'm going to grow in other things. I made the choice. I turned down the job offer and I had to live with that decision. And I was not very confident in the decision, but I was just going with my gut of this is what I need to do. And then about 6 weeks later, the company that I turned down came back with more money and I took it. And that was then hard because I had made these choices and these decisions off of betting on myself and what about the time versus money? And I was holding myself to, dang, am I really going to switch up? Am I really just not really betting on myself anymore? What does this say about me? And then there was a shift that I did not realize till a few months later, which is why I wanted to share with you guys now. I realized, especially me and other people, put a lot of pressure on making the decision and the decision being final. Once we choose something, that's who we are, that's what we believe, that's what we stand for, that's what our identity is. And that's what we're going to stand on. But that's not really how life works. The lesson for me, and it's nice being on the other side, but realistically, you have to make decisions based on the context you have at the time. And so I made a decision, got more context, adjusted it, then you learn some more and you adjust it again. And you're just going to keep doing that and adjusting and trying to get a little bit better and correcting and taking context because most decisions aren't permanent. Now, there are some decisions that are absolutely permanent. There are so many decisions that are permanent. I'm not going to go into all of them. But for a lot of things, I was putting this weight on it being a permanent decision and not necessarily has to be. And it just doesn't mean you're wrong before. It just means you have more context now. And I think the old me would have stuck with my first choice because I said it to prove something, kind of holding on to that identity or worried about people judging me for not betting on myself. But now I'm a lot more open to pivoting because I had to bet on myself in a different way. That has helped me grow. And so being further removed from it, that was the right bet because those skill sets that I developed in taking option 1 was very good. It also taught me a lot about worth. And yeah, I turned it down the first time and that led to me making significantly more the second time and the second offer. And there's a lot of things where you have to trust your gut and go with context and just kind of keep moving forward and adjusting as you go. So I think a lot of times I used to have this, you need to be perfect with engineering. If you're 0.005 off, a plane's going down or whatever theory or test that they had us do. But in life, you kind of have to make decisions and be quick. And there's this, they reward people with speed. And so balancing, gathering as much context as you can, and then making a decision on it and knowing that you can pivot in the future if need be. For me, I realized that this lesson I thought was just about time versus money, what would I choose? And the real lesson was being able to pivot, being able to adjust, being able to keep gathering context and changing and growing and making stuff happen quickly and progressing forward, which is really, really huge. And I'm learning that in my line of work. You can't be perfect all the time. Your goal is to do the best you can with the information you have, but the speed is extremely important in producing and getting things done. Overall, I don't think it was really about time versus money. I think it's about learning how to make decisions and understanding that those decisions don't define you forever and trusting that you can figure it out as you go. So overall, excited to be on the other side of it and be like, I made the right choice. I think sometimes it's helpful and healthy for us to go back and be like, man, I remember when I was struggling then and it was a heavy decision and I'm on the other side and I chose correctly. It's a beautiful thing. And I think that's why I'm constantly now in a different stage where like for a while, it's just like, go to school, go to college, get a job. That's what you're supposed to do. And that was it. There was no questions. There was no reflection. There was no, am I happy? And so now it's like this balance of still staying headstrong and intentional about what I want out of life, but adjusting as things change, adjusting what needs to be done as my priorities change. Eventually, I want to have a family. What will that look like? And still being very intentional, but being willing to pivot and adjust and adapt based on opportunities is such a powerful skill set. And just wanted to share that if you're going through a hard decision or you're trying to choose between the two, try to take all the context you can, make a good choice, and then be okay with that choice, because a lot of times we find a lot more context in hindsight. Like we have a lot more context in the future, and then we go back and beat up our old selves, but our old selves didn't know what we know now. And so I tend to do that as like a little bit of an overthinker. And so just continue to strive, continue to make progress, imperfect progress, but intentional progress. Go after your goals. As always, I believe in you. I'm rooting for you. Go live intentionally.